Bloated? Tired? Foggy? This could be why. If you are doing everything right and still feel bloated, tired, foggy, or just not like yourself, this episode is for you. Today I'm joined by ZuZu from Lilyfields to talk about why your gut metabolism and cells, what they may be trying to tell you. Welcome, ZuZu.
Well, I am so glad to be here. What a fun intro. I can't wait to talk about the gut.
It is becoming an epidemic around the world, don't you think?
I know it is. I know it. I see it every day in our stores and our center. Yeah.
What is Lilyfields? Just tell us quickly. Lilyfields is a retreat, isn't it? A healing retreat, though.
Yeah, so I own Holistic Health Educators, and that's an online platform of it's a natural school. It's a school for natural healing, and it's all online. We have graduates all over the world. And for the last 20 years, I've been telling everyone, hey, I'm going to open a retreat center. Hey, I'm going to open up a retreat center. Because I always do retreats, and people would come and they'd fly out and we'd spend the weekend together, 5 days together, and I'd make all their food and we'd have great classes. But I really, really wanted a place where the healers, like my students, or the people who are sick could just come and just live with us for a week, live with us for 3 months. I don't care, just experience what it's like to live this way and to eat this way. And so in 2022, Rita, I bought an RV. It was a 30-foot RV, and I renovated it with some of my good friends, and I wrapped the whole thing in organs and glands and chromosomes. It's super cool, and it says, "We love your guts" on the side of it. Not hippie, honey, just totally cool. Okay, and I traveled all over the country looking for where to open up a retreat center. In December, the end of the year, I pull in the driveway in Hawkinsville, Georgia, wherever that is, right, and clear as day, instantly, God was like, this is it. So I turned to my realtor who was traveling with me. She's one of my best friends. I was like, okay, we're going to buy it. She's like, you haven't seen it. I said, I know, but we're going to buy it. This is it, And we closed 7 days later. So Lilyfields is a place where people can come, and we have a wellness center. We have 69 acres that we're developing as a permaculture farm. So we have a big electroculture garden, ponds, and places to stay. And it's really fun. We're having a lot of fun.
Well, it sounds like the perfect place to actually heal your gut. Like in the intro I said, bloating and tired and for all of those sort of symptoms. Why are so many people told that this is kind of normal or part of the aging process?
It's not. Well, I can tell you right now, I'm 58 years old and I probably feel better than I did ever my whole life. I only feel better every year. So that's definitely not the truth. The body is designed to reproduce, period. Not just physically, let's enjoy our spousal situation, but as in the cells. Cells are constantly reproducing. And a cell, a mother cell is going to create 2 daughter cells, and that mother cell is going to pass down cellular memory. So if that mother cell is healthy, you're going to make 2 healthy cells, and then 4 healthy cells, and then 8 healthy cells, and 16 healthy cells, and we're going to pass down this healthy cellular memory. But if the cell is sick, it's going to pass down sick memory, and they're all going to be sick. So we are what we eat, we are what we digest, we are what we listen to. All that stuff is real because our cellular context is what creates health or disease, which might sound like a mouthful, but I really want to point out that you right now, all of the cells in your body are either creating healthy cells or sick cells, depending on where they are in the body. So the hope and the great news is you can change cell context immediately. Today, you can make changes immediately that will stop sick cells from growing. That's the power of the human body. And that's what I'm excited to share with anybody who cares to listen. I talk all the time because I'm like, don't you want to know? Don't you want to know? I can help you.
You know what? It really is something that people do need to know, because I think everyone is feeling a little overwhelmed. They start to feel that everything is starting to get complicated. It's almost like people are starting to think, wait a minute. I'm doing everything right. I'm following what they say. I'm eating clean. I'm drinking my water. I do my, X amount of exercise per week. Yet I'm still feeling awful. And then they start going into blaming themselves.
There's the number one issue I see, Rita, right now, everywhere. And this is everywhere. When I go to Taiwan, anywhere I've gone and I've tested human beings, they're loaded with Candida. 100%. They are just loaded. Very few people do I test and they don't have Candida. So Candida is a yeast overgrowth. And here's the interesting part. So when I started testing people for Candida 20 years ago and working with this, maybe a quarter of the population had Candida. Now it's well over 85%. But here's the interesting thing is people don't realize, and because they're not aware, they haven't been taught, that EMFs trigger things in our body. So an electromagnetic frequency coming at the cell from your cell phone or your computer or your, whatever, the light bulbs, whatever it might be, all of those EMFs that were around, they actually trigger things to happen in the body. The little clock in the corner of the old, laptops and the desktop computers, that little clock vibrates at the same as Candida. Well, everybody's sitting in front of a computer all the time. And so it's actually encouraging your Candida overgrowth. So so freaking cool. Your cell has these hundreds of thousands of receptor sites. Those receptor sites are triggered one of two ways. A molecule, eat an apple, eat an orange, take some iodine, and then that goes into the cell and then it triggers something, right? And then it can be absorbed into the cell, or an EMF. So an EMF is real. Those affect the cell instantly. So you can take your vitamin C, or you can have the frequency of vitamin C through a Rife unit, and boom, it's actually going to trigger the cell faster than eating your oranges, right? What we aren't aware of is that we are all in a bath of EMFs. Now we have Wi-Fi, thank you, right? That just rolled out during the COVID thing. And now there's like Wi-Fi, there's 5G everywhere. And that is actually very, very, very dangerous to our human bodies. We aren't meant to exist in, I was going to say male-based, but it's not male. If you understand frequencies, there's female and male frequencies, right? And sadly, male frequencies destroy the body, and female frequencies help the heal body. But it doesn't matter. That's just don't take it personally, men. But our bodies literally aren't designed to hold this. So that's why grounding is so important, right? So I think people are sick. And they don't realize that it's not just what they're eating that's tainted with all this crap and all this stuff coming out of our skies. Hello, geoengineering's real. If you have your head in the sand, pull it out, because it's extremely real, has been around for decades. But those are affecting us. But the great news is, again, the cell environment can be altered. And so when we change what we're exposed to or what we eat, we change the cellular makeup. We just do. We change the interstitial fluid, and now our bodies can be healthy. So to get rid of Candida, I can say it's pretty simple, but for a lot of people, it might be difficult. But Candida thrives on sugar, period. And Candida's like that. Candida's like that Pac-Man in the body. So when you have too much sugar in the bloodstream, get this, you're only designed to have 1 teaspoon. 1 teaspoon. That's 3.5 grams, right? 1 teaspoon of sugar in the blood at a time. That's it. So no more than 4 grams in the body at one time. Oh, hello. Drink a Coca-Cola and you got 16 grams, right? Or whatever, 16 teaspoons, whatever it is. So like a piece of bread, it will give you 3 teaspoons of sugar. And not because there's sugar in it, but because starches turn into sugar. And so grain and sugar and dairy, all that, all the dairy, that's sugar too, right? It's just very high sugar content. And we aren't designed to break down the sugar. We're all lactose intolerant because you stop making lactose when you're small because you're done nursing from your mom. So we've just been fed the wrong information for so long, and people are waking up to it now. But to get rid of Candida, you avoid sugar and grain and dairy and alcohol, but then you feel fantastic. So like one lady who came in and she had cancer, and actually one of my students graduated today, and she's like, Karen, I have to tell you about this lady I worked with. She had cancer, and of course cancer thrives on sugar. You eat a piece of bread, you're feeding your cancer, right? You eat a donut, you're feeding your cancer. You have a drink of alcohol, can't be bad. What people don't realize is that cancer thrives on sugar. And so you can eat sugar and you're always going to feed your cancer, like all of the time. And so if you don't have a lot of everybody has cancer, by the way. Every baby born has cancer cells. Everyone in the world has cancer cells. So just so you know. And most everyone, cancer will grow in their body 7 or 9 times in their lifetime. They'll never even know it because the immune system will kick in and get rid of it and you're fine, right? That's what your lymph nodes are for. That's what the body's designed to do, is get rid of cancer and disease, and it does. But it's interesting because cancer thrives on sugar. Candida thrives on sugar. Parasites thrive on sugar, right? And so cancer, if you go in for a PET scan, you're going to drink radioactive sugar. So every doctor knows that cancer feeds sugar, because you drink the radioactive sugar, you go in for your PET scan, the gamma rays are going to interfere with the radioactive element in the sugar that you just drank a half an hour ago. And then everywhere in the body that water full of radioactive sugar was, all the cancer's eating the sugar, and it shows up in your PET scan. Cancer feeds sugar, or sugar feeds cancer. And so by just learning that, now it's easy to go, oh, well, I'm going to cut some sugar out of my diet, right? I'm going to get rid of Candida and parasites and cancer by changing my diet. And the cool thing is, people, you're going to feel it. It will be hard the first week. It just will, because if people have eaten dairy and cheese and, all that for decades, there's an addiction to dairy that's very real. There's chemicals in dairy. Trust me. When we eliminate some of the causation factors, we feel better. We just do. And there's an easy test you can do at home to see if you have Candida. You take a glass like this one, right? And you just, tomorrow morning, it has to be in the morning, first thing, you spit just a big Louis, a couple Louis in there, right? And if it starts to string down, you've got Candida. And most of you will have Candida. So then you can kill the Candida multiple ways. You can take enzymes and all, things that we sell and things you can find at home, but you can also starve it, and the difference is amazing. So Candida, cancer, parasites, we're hearing all about all the antiparasitical remedies for everything, and it's true. People, if you have IBS, you've got parasites. If you have Crohn's, you have parasites. If you have most people have parasites, so it's not, no one can say they don't have parasites, because that would be ludicrous. Everybody's got parasites, and not all parasites are bad, by the way. Some of those parasites are great. They're keeping the bad bacteria at bay. Like we have a whole symphony going on under our skin that we are unaware of, and some of it is very symbiotic. But then there's those you don't want. Like we did some live blood cell analysis today from one of our clients, and we saw the biggest worm, and it's like, so it's like, you never know what's crawling in there. So do a parasite cleanse.
Exactly. So, but it's removing the sugar, removing the foods that create the sugar. What I'm understanding is that then for life. Is that a root solution to it, or is there something else going on that sort of like upstream?
That's actually great question. And here, let me explain a couple of things that are happening in the gut. When someone says they have bloating, that is almost always, there's but two reasons that it almost always is, they have Candida overgrowth. So Candida comes in to eat all the sugar, right? But then it off gases. That's going to create bloating, right? And your Candida can create so much gas in your intestinal system that it actually causes, so you eat and it comes down your esophagus and it ends up in your stomach, right? And your stomach's right here, and you have a lower esophageal sphincter, and then you have the pyloric sphincter. Well, the food comes down, and in the stomach, it churns until it's about like 1.7 to 2.7 pH, very acidic. Then that pH will open the pyloric sphincter, and then the food comes through the small intestine, and it closes again. Well, if it's lots of sugar, it's going to cause bloating no matter what you eat that has any kind of starch in it or any kind of sugar. So that's one thing. And then all that bloating can actually cause the lower esophageal sphincter to open up, because it's coming into the stomach through the pyloric sphincter, and you're having acid reflux. That can actually be caused simply because there's too much Candida and too much. But here's the actual, a lot of people are dealing with what's called SIBO, small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. And that is when I'm going to stand up again for demonstration purposes only, but you have an ileocecal valve. So I'm black on, that doesn't help. My belly button's right here, and my waist and my hips right here. In between, on my right side, is my ileocecal valve, right? Well, that ileocecal valve is supposed to open and close every time you eat. Like a baby, you eat and then you poop, and you eat and you poop. So it takes the food from the small intestine, puts it in the colon, except for a lot of people, because they're sitting on their computers, they're sitting in their trains, they're sitting on the subway, they're sitting in their car, they sit when they go home and they watch something on TV. Oh, they're so tired because they're full of Candida and they're so exhausted, right? And so what happens is that ileocecal valve sticks open, and this is the number one cause of bloating, right? It opens up, and now the bacteria that was in the colon, and you have like several hundreds or thousands of strains of bacteria in your colon, right? Goes up, and then it comes into the small intestine. And so this bacteria that comes in the small intestine, and it's like, oh, this is beautiful. And the bacteria starts eating everything that's in your small intestine, or everything. And the bacteria off gases, Right. So the bacteria is off-gassing. It's eating everything in your small intestine where it's not supposed to be there. It's supposed to be in the colon, but the doorway was open. And so now you have this bacteria in the small intestine, and it is having a ball. It's eating, reproducing. Now we have what's called small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. That is going to cause constipation and bloating. Now here's part number 2. Diarrhea and bloating. If you have constipation and bloating, you most likely have SIBO, small intestinal methane overgrowth or methanogen overgrowth. So the bacteria that's off-gassing, I know this is so wild, and all that gas that's now in your intestinal system, right, in your gut, there's something called archaea, and they live in you too. They're everywhere. They're another single cell organism, not a parasite, not a virus, not a bacteria. Archaea. And they eat the gas from the bacteria and they cause methane. They create methane in the body. So if you have bloating and constipation, you most likely have SIBO. If you have bloating and diarrhea, you most likely will have, or bouts of diarrhea, you'll have small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. And so there are numerous ways to help, solve that and eradicate that. But that does explain a lot of the bloating. And I know when you and I are talking in the pre-interview before we started talking, you were concerned too about the gut. Like, what do we do to fix the gut? This is the kicker. A lot of people are like, okay, I'm going to take probiotics and I'm going to eat more plants. That's ideal. However, if you have a bacteria overgrowth, you don't want to feed it more bacteria with fermented foods, if that makes sense. Now, I make all my own sauerkrauts. Like, I'm fanatic. I have dilly beans fermenting. Everything's fermenting, right? However, except for the beans that I over fermented, had thrown away. But anyhow, but I love fermentation food. However, if you already have too much bacteria from a small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, you don't take probiotics. Probiotics is more bacteria. You don't feed them with prebiotics. You actually have to get rid of the bacteria from being in the wrong place at the wrong time. There's lots of products out there that can do that. Metagenics makes a great, they make a Candibactin AR, Candibactin BR. We have a lot of clients that'll start on that. We've got a whole bunch of protocols, but if you're listening, those are 2 things you can reach for. And then look at a small intestinal bacteria diet. You can still eat some asparagus. You can still eat certain things, but you want to eat a little bit less of it while we're getting rid of that extra bacteria. And please don't take antibiotics. That's going to desiccate all of the good bacteria also, which is why we had such a problem during the COVID experience, because so many people were using hand sanitizers and Perel and spraying everything with antibacterial, and literally, Rita, oh my gosh, it was so sad. I watched kids that were slathered all over their arms, like lotion. And I was like, no, because your skin has bacteria. Your gut has bacteria. Prostate? Do you know prostate cancer can simply be because they don't have healthy microbiome in the prostate? You just ruined it with all that, right? Women, we have vaginal bacteria. So we have a vaginal microbiome that needs to be balanced. Otherwise, we have all these health issues and infections, etc. So we're so sensitive to bacteria. And it can take 8 months to a year to recuperate after 1 round of antibiotics. And so I'm so glad you love the gut so much, because there's a time and a place to bring probiotics in, and most everybody needs more probiotics. We can talk about the microbiome, but I really wanted to be specific on the bloating because you had asked about that. And we don't want to take probiotics. We don't want to eat starches. We don't even want to eat fiber when you're dealing with SIBO, because fiber, this is the biggest takeaway hopefully today, fiber feeds bacteria, which is amazing because you want to heal your body with different fibers and different bacteria after you get rid of SIBO. So you can do bone broth and a ketogenic diet. You can do these things while you're eliminating SIBO and SIBO. It shouldn't take more than 4 or 5 weeks. Then we want to build microbiome.
I've seen on Facebook they have SIBO groups. SIBO seems to be something that's becoming out of control with people, and the frustration is incredibly high. And everybody sort of says, I've got SIBO, I got rid of it, it returned. what is the root cause behind that? Like you mentioned the ileocecal valve. So what would keep the ileocecal valve open?
Exercise, moving the body, right? So exercising and moving the body. You can do ileocecal valve massage, where you just rub that baby when you're laying in bed tonight. Everybody listening or watching, lay in bed and find it. You're going to find it between the belly button and your hip. You're going to reach in there, and all of a sudden you're going to feel that valve needs to open and close, open and close, open and close. It's triggered when bile is released, when it's just, there's so much we could talk about. I could see here 17 more hours and we could never take a break. But when we eat food, there's this, and we're just talking socially while we're just out eating, right? And we're chewing that food, a chemical cascade is happening. Our salivary glands are creating amylase, and they're also, which breaks down your carbohydrates, but it's also triggering all these other organs in the body and the hormonal system to release something different. Like if you have a lot of fat, then your bile is being released from the gallbladder, right? And if you have a lot of protein, quote unquote, in nuts or in animal product or whatnot, or an egg, then your body needs to have more protease and more pepsin when it gets into the stomach. So your whole body is literally making chemicals to break down whatever we're chewing. Well, a lot of people don't chew anymore. And so it is, our body makes almost everything we ever need. It really, really does. So when SIBO comes back, it can be there's just too much sugar in the diet, the ileocecal valve got stuck open, but the number one reason is they don't make enough healthy bacteria. So healthy, you have more bacteria in your body than you do human cells. There's healthy bacteria and bad bacteria. When you have more healthy bacteria, they're going to always keep things in check. That's their job. So if you've ever used hand sanitizer or Purell or taken antibiotics, right now we need to build the microbiome. We need to rebuild the microbiome. And to do that, if we're not bloating, then we're in the clear, right? If you're not bloating, then let's try this. You want to eat more diverse array of fiber. So picture little bacteria living in the colon, right? And other places, we have them all over, but they feed on fiber. Fiber is useless to the human body. We don't need fiber. There's no vitamins in fiber. There's no minerals in fiber. There's no amino acids in fiber. However, fiber is what feeds bacteria. And the different fibers feed different bacteria. So if you have a salad with 3 vegetables, cucumbers and tomatoes and onion and lettuce, okay, 4, great, that's nice. But if you have a salad like right now, our retreat people are sitting in the other room. I'm watching them eat over there from the corner of my eye, and I know what they're eating because I made it, right? So they're having arugula and their sunflower seeds and all these amazing things in their salad. The microbiome in their gut is going to diversify tonight while they're sleeping, because there's 16 vegetables that they've not had, some of them probably in decades, that are now going to be sitting in their gut feeding bacteria. Oh, even the cooler part. Oh my gosh, this is so much fun. The appendix. I love the appendix. If you still have your appendix, thank your mother or thank anybody who didn't make you take it out, right? But your appendix is amazing. It's like this little seed factory. Just picture it like it's your own little bacterial seed factory. It used to be that we could, I don't know how old you are, but we used to be able to go out to the stream and grab water and drink it and whatever. If it had a bacteria in it, we didn't get sick because of our appendix. The appendix has these little, just picture them as little seeds of bacteria. So if we get exposed to something and the appendix and the body realizes what we were exposed to, but we're just hanging out with our girlfriends, so we're not paying attention to what we just ate, it will release bacterial cells that will then multiply on the fibers you're eating and then take care of the issue at hand, and you didn't even know you had it. How cool is that, right? It's so
amazing.
Cool. So yeah, eating, all I can help tell anybody is please eat more fermented foods, raw fermented foods, no vinegar, and please eat more variety of vegetables. Don't be afraid to go to the produce section and get weird things and try them. Kohlrabi and radishes are great on a salad, and beets are great on a salad. Look for some of those crazy weird things that your grandmother used to make you eat, right? I don't like turnips, but they were fantastic in the soup we made the other day. Didn't put a lot of them because I still don't like turnips, but they tasted great in there. So look for different ways to bring in weird vegetables into your diet, and you're going to feel better. And it really is. It's really, really neat. Ask any questions you have. If I have the answers, I'm happy to share.
I just want to go back to, I heard you say, eat more fermented foods, not vinegar, not the vinegar with the vinegar.
Yeah.
Isn't it fermented with vinegar?
So I'm speaking specifically about sauerkrauts and fermented vegetables, and you don't use vinegar in when you're making sauerkrauts and you're fermenting most vegetables. And so those are the ones that really transform the terrain. You can use vinegar, like I'll use vinegar in my onions. That's not fermented. I mean, I can ferment them out on the counter, but you don't need to you don't need to add the vinegar. So my sauerkraut, and I've literally made probably hundreds of thousands of pounds of sauerkraut because I've had 2 cafes, and we make so much sauerkraut, but sauerkraut is literally cabbage and salt. And I won't discuss how you do it right now, but we have a lot of videos on that. But you see the cabbage is just cabbage and salt, and kimchi, multiple types of cabbage, and daikon radishes, whatever else you want to put in there. And like we make cauliflower sauerkraut with cauliflower and carrots and radishes. Like you can make so many fermented things, but all it is your vegetables and salt. That's it. And as it sits, the longer it sits, like my sauerkraut, for those people who are just new to making fermented foods, I'll let my sauerkraut, right now it's been sitting for 5 weeks. I actually forgot about it, so I'll have to go and undo it because we're using it on the retreat, so we'll get to it. But like 5 to 6 weeks, 4 weeks, the longer it ferments, the more diverse the bacterial ratio, and it's so alkaline. We've had people use 1 tablespoon of sauerkraut a day, and they're off of medications for their gut issues within weeks, or within days. It is really remarkable when we learn to use food as medicine. It's incredible.
Obviously, not the fermented if you are struggling with SIBO.
Right, exactly. And again, SIBO isn't going to be forever. SIBO will be for the next 4 or 5 weeks, whatever it takes to get rid of, and then you're fine. Then you want to bring fermented foods and a variety of fibers into the body. If everyone just really avoided sugar, the whole world would be so different. When we have sugar and starches and grains and all the dairy that we consume throughout the world, and dairy, by the way, dairy is the number 1 cause of osteoporosis. That is going to be on my tombstone. All my kids know it. I've got 11 of them, right? Plus my one that my student gave me. So we have 12 kids that all know that dairy causes osteoporosis, must be on my tombstone. Anyhow. And so people, because our bodies are so alkaline, they need to be alkaline everywhere except for our vaginal area for the women, and then our colon and our stomach. Only 3 areas that should be acidic. And if our body is too acidic, which it gets from eating meats and dairies and milk, then we pull minerals out of the bones and out of the muscles. So if everybody listening can just do one thing, is please cut way back on dairy. You don't need dairy. You aren't going to get your calcium from dairy. You're going to get your calcium from the ground because it's a mineral, and all minerals come out of the ground. Eat your plants. Eat plants. But you aren't ever going to get the calcium needed. And you can look these stats up. The countries with the highest amount of osteoporosis, Europe and America, are the ones that drink the most dairy. It is parallel. I was in Fiji one time, I was in Samoa, and and I had all these men take off their shirts, and they're just gorgeous, hunky guys, and none of them suck out of cows, they don't. One of them was like, yes, I drank milk for 4 years from my mother, so they don't. And they all look incredible because you don't need dairy to build a strong bone or teeth or anything, So if you're going to do dairy, do it fermented and do it raw. Get a cow, put her in your backyard, call her Betsy. And when you're thirsty, go get something. I don't care. But the whole buy it from a grocery store, please don't.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with you. When it comes to, we're talking about digestion, and then we're going down to the SIBO, the Candida, but behind those conditions, do you feel that a lack of stomach acid or proper bile flow or liver function can be the cause to some of these SIBOs and Candida, or do you feel it's just the sugar?
SIBO, no. SIBO and SIBO, I don't think stomach acid has anything to do with it. But this is a super great point you bring up. So stomach acid is acidic because it kills parasites and viruses and flukes and stuff. It kills stuff. So when you don't have enough stomach acid, it's just coming right into home, honey. You're just letting these babies right in, So if you have acid reflux, you don't have enough stomach acid. This is talk about the worst information ever given to humankind, right? Well, some of it. Oh my word, please don't take another Tums, honey. An antacid is never going to fix your issue, ever, ever, ever. When someone has acid reflux, which is super easy to explain, this is hypocholohydria. And so when you have acid reflux, it's because there's not enough acid in the stomach. So remember how that stomach has the lower esophageal sphincter and then the pyloric sphincter? Well, it's supposed to turn into acid right in here, right? Acid, acid, acid. If it gets that 1.7 to 2.7% acid, then the pyloric sphincter will open and the food will come into the small intestine. Here's what acid reflux is. It never gets acidic enough. It doesn't. It churns and churns and churns and churns. The stomach is not a pit of hydrochloric acid, but the stomach lining, the gastric pit will secrete stomach acid into the stomach, depending on what's in it. If there's meat, you need a lot of acid. If there's dairy, you need a lot of acid. If it's, grain, you need a lot of acid. If you can't make enough HCl, then the lower esophageal sphincter is going to open up and we get reflux. We get heartburn. This is all the same thing. So if you take hydrochloric acid right when you eat, and then you might even take it 2 or 3 times while you're eating. You keep popping them, right? Depending on who you're working with. Now you have enough acid that this is going to open and go into your small intestine, and you're going to get rid of acid reflux. And eating salmon helps you get more HCl. Eating almonds, getting more sunshine. There's things you can do that will increase your hydrochloric acid levels. I recommend, I didn't name it this, but it's called Karen's Goop. So my name is Karen, but you can't be Karen anymore. So I go by my nickname, ZuZu, but I'm going to change it to ZuZu's Goop. But ZuZu's Goop is super easy to make. Take a pint jar, put 1 cup of raw honey in there, 1 cup of apple cider vinegar. The raw apple cider vinegar, I don't recommend Bragg's as much anymore because Carrie Perry and whatever, Bill Gates, they bought it out and they use apples with a peel on it now. So just be careful where you just double check with your Bragg's, double check, but Eden's great. Eden's wonderful. As Your Standard is wonderful. You can get some good organic apple cider vinegar. Just be careful where you buy all your stuff and do your research. So I don't mean to name drop. I'm just saying, just be careful because people are often buying companies and changing things. So just be aware of that. This is for entertainment purposes only. Okay, anyhow. And so, but you take that apple cider vinegar and that cup of honey and you mix it together, and then you add 2 things. You add like a thumb of ginger, minced really, really fine, and like 6 to 9 cloves of garlic, minced really fine. That's why it's called goop, because you mix it all, you're like, this is weird. But if you take a spoonful of that in maybe 8 ounces of water, about 8 minutes before you eat, it literally puts enough acid in the stomach that it help you, and it will help trigger your body to make hydrochloric acid. And so now, after a couple weeks of using that before every meal, you don't have acid reflux anymore. Your body's used to making the acid again. And so it really is, I'm so glad you brought that up. Anyhow, and so yeah, just so you're aware of that. And again, I don't want to be sued by Carrie Perry or anybody, but I just wanted to let you know, be careful of where you buy your stuff and be aware of what you're consuming. Super, super important. And you'll always know if people are proud of the pesticides and insecticides and larvicides, everything that they use, because they'll tell you about it. You can go to a farmer's market. Hey, your apples look great. What do you use? Oh, they'll just list it off, right? And then, but if your apple looks like a worm is in it, great. That's what you want, because then you know it's organic. You won't have worms, but always pay attention to what you're eating, because if there's a worm in your corn, that's the corn you want, because it's not going to kill your gut, right? If you get a beautiful piece of corn on the cob and there's no trace of anything, don't eat it. Be careful, or make sure you got it from an organic farmer, because I'd be a little careful. But anyhow,
is low grade inflammation, could that be driving the symptoms that people never kind of connect to their gut?
Yes, because you can't. This is like something you cannot heal if you're inflamed. Period. You can't heal when you're inflamed. I talk about inflammation all the time. And so inflammation is fantastic, by the way. I'm a huge proponent of inflammation. Inflammation is wonderful, because if you get bit by a dog or a bee, right, your whole body in that area is going to inflame, and it's going to redirect blood flow, and it's going to bring the white blood cells in. This is exactly what we want. Boom, we're going to get this taken care of fast. Chronic inflammation is not good. And that is what most people have, and they're not even aware that they have it. they're not even aware that they have it. So going to an anti-inflammatory diet, which is everybody who's at a retreat with us right now, that's what they eat for the next 8 days or 3 months. And it's phenomenal. Like, you feel the difference. You're like, oh my gosh, I can never go back to eating that. But people don't realize it until they go and start eating an anti-inflammatory diet. And when you start taking out the foods that cause inflammation, your life changes. And remember, our ancestors may have been able to eat X, Y, and Z, and we can't right now. It's two things. It can be because the food that we're eating has been tainted. We have genetically modified a lot of the food we eat. Yes. We've added a bunch of chemicals to it that we are not designed to consume. That's like, should be for not for human consumption, right? Like, if you pretty much look on any pesticide spray or insecticide spray, it'll tell you not for human consumption, but why we're spraying it all over our strawberries before they even have a bud, right? So we need to be aware what we're eating, but it also can be because our gut terrain is so different, because we've been using antibiotics. Every kid born has up to 3 antibiotics by the time you're 3. Oh my gosh, right? So we have been so debilitated, our guts have been so washed out that it's not surprising we can't eat certain things, but you can always start eating cleaner. If I can I throw something in there really quick on larvicide and things? So Insecticides are designed to kill insects. Pesticides are designed to do this pretty much same thing, just different ones. Herbicides are designed to kill the living nervous system of an herb. Larvicides are designed to kill the living nervous system of larvae, which is in all your pork and a lot of your meat, right? So that when you pour Coca-Cola on top of your pork chop, you can't see all the worms come out, which you definitely can, until they started using larvicide to kill all the worms in the pork. But anyhow, and so if those things are all designed to kill a living nervous system, why are you eating it? Why do we have right now more nervous system disorders than ever in the history of mankind?
Well, that's an interesting connection.
Yes. And so MS, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and all your ADD, ADHD, any kind of epilepsy, every kind of nervous system disorder, we look at two things. What in the world are we eating? I call them side dishes. The side dishes. Oh yeah, there's some pesticides, herbicide, or some larvicides in there. Yeah. No, right? And then GABA. GABA is my favorite neurotransmitter. I hold it very dear to my heart because I had epilepsy growing up. I did not know, because no one told me, and I didn't know then, that that's a GABA deficiency. Epilepsy primarily is a GABA deficiency. And so with the nervous system, we have to look at all the side dishes because they're designed to kill a living nervous system. But I'm 58. We weren't eating pesticides back then, or very few. But I definitely was GABA deficient. And here's the cool part. You don't make GABA in the gut when you have an imbalanced microbiome. So by using all the hand sanitizers and Perel and antibacterial everything, please get rid of all of it in your home. Don't give it to your friends, not even your enemies, right? We are killing our microbiome. So people are struggling with GABA deficiencies and their body's not making enough GABA because you can't make it unless you have a healthy microbiome. So you need these probiotics for your body to start making natural GABA. And why I love GABA so much as my favorite neurotransmitter, it's made by the nervous system, but it controls all the electricity in the body. I had a gentleman come with an extra Y chromosome. So he shook all the time, right? Could barely even eat. GABA. It's incredible. Like,
do you
GABA
actually take the GABA, or do you do things to create
your body
it internally?
Yeah, your body makes it, but you can take it orally. So there's several forms of GABA. One that I love is from a company called Quicksilver Scientific, and I like some of their products, but their GABA L-theanine is wonderful because you put it under your mouth, you kind of hold it in your mouth for 90 seconds and then swallow it. It has been a godsend for so many people. And I will tell you, so is THC. I don't even know if I can talk about that or not, but if people live in a community where THC is legal, I've had epileptics come to see me and I tell them what THC does. You don't need to get high. You can take tinctures before you go to bed. You don't worry about all that weird stuff you hear, you guys. You don't have to do all that. You don't got to look like one of those weirdos that is, let's all get high all the time. You don't got to do that. Use it medicinally. I think that's what it's created for. Thank you. But it will stop a seizure. and it will literally make it so that it balances the nervous system. You won't have seizures anymore. So I've had clients move into states that they could then use THC legally and medically with their doctors, and then they don't have any problems. So it is something that obviously is controversial to some people, definitely not for me, because I think it's amazing. But it is something that people can't, and I don't take it, but I've used it in the past during certain times when I was balancing neurotransmitters, and it's been a blessing. But I've never, I'm not a recreational user. That's not my style, but I do definitely recommend it for people who are dealing with some electrical systems disorders sometimes.
When you say don't be afraid of it, would you say that that's better done under care, or is it okay for someone to buy it and do it at home?
No, they can do it on their own. Yeah, you even definitely do it on your own. I'm not worried about that at all. You might want to start with 5 milligrams, and just take that, and you'll sleep better. It resets the nervous system. It can be used. Long-term use may have some effect on memory. I mean, it can, depending, but there's so much behind that. That's a whole nother 17 hours because there's so many strains, but now people are like mixing different strains that I don't think should be mixed. Like there's so much science that goes into THC. A lot of the crap you buy, a lot of stuff people buy is crap. And because they fill it full of sugar, like they'll feed the plant a ton of sugar the last 2 weeks so it weighs more and they can charge you more, but now you're getting a plant full of sugar. So you really want to find out who your grower is, find a good company that you trust and you work with. That's all I can tell you. There's a product line that I like called Hemp Lucid. They are all organic. They use organic sugar, and they'll make gummies, and they've got tincture stuff. But they're a really good company. We sell some of their product in our store as well. We can't sell it online because you can't sell THC or CBDs online. But they've got some blends that have helped so many of my clients. It's just incredible. So.
Well, it makes sense now why the rise in anxiety, the rise in ADHD, the rise in depression, all of these mental health conditions, that we trace it back, and you're saying it traces back, like our nervous system is out of control. People are doing breath work, yes. They're doing all of these different therapies or modalities to try and calm their nervous system, but it's a continuous daily thing. And then the nervous system never seems to really feel that calm all the time. It's like a project, instead of it just being naturally that way. When it comes to, I was fascinated what you said about the herbicide, how it kills the plants. Did you say the plant's nervous system?
Yeah.
Well, isn't that interesting that when people eat, when they think they're eating really well, but they go, you know what? I feel like I'm totally depleted. I'm running on empty. Well, the plant has been totally depleted. What is the connection with at the cellular level of what's happening when someone goes, I just can't keep going. I'm eating well, but I feel I have no energy at all.
And they might even be eating salad every day and they don't feel energy because the salad is so loaded with these side dishes, And so it is, like I said, one thing, look at EWG.org. Environmental Workmen's Group is amazing. And they have the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. Every year they release it. But strawberries, no one on this planet should eat a non-organic strawberry. They are so dangerous. Non-organic grapes. Oh my gosh. But like some of these foods, it's systemic. They're spraying the plant before right when the bud is there, before the bud is there, then when the fruit is there. They're sprayed how many times to look beautiful and cute? So you can dip it in chocolate, but oh my gosh, people don't realize what they're giving their kids, what they're eating. So making sure that you're getting organic grain and as non-GMO organic grain, or sprouted tortillas, or sprouted corn, or sprouted grain, or sprouted seeds and sprouted nuts. Those are all going to be better for you. But yeah, people, it comes back to what you eat. It really does. The entire gut terrain, and for children, bifidobacteria, there's a lot of strains of bacteria. And they're different. The ones that children need are different than the ones adults can need. And just getting that variety. So I'm pretty much if you're taking a lactobacillus, that's nice, but switch to another one next month. Like keep switching up those bacteria that you're eating, the probiotics. And then fiber is the free product. You don't got to buy prebiotics. You can eat them. You can, if you want, get a good prebiotic fiber, but you shouldn't need it. You should just be eating fiber. Fiber should be part of your everyday. It should be a smoothie or a salad or vegetables. For soup tonight, they have a lentil soup full of different vegetables, right? They've got the arugula salad that is full of different vegetables, right? And then I made almond bread, and the almond bread is almond and millet, and it's got eggs in it, and it's just phenomenal. It's just an incredible, but like all these different fibers. So like all of them are going to go home with this huge array of fibers in their gut, and their bacteria, I can guarantee right now, are like, oh my gosh, right? But if we have someone with SIBO or SIMO, we have the diet different for them while they're here, because we don't want to feed any bacteria in the gut with fiber.
It's not just about what you're eating, but what your body can actually absorb from your food as well at the cellular level, and why so many cravings and then a crash and then you get burnout and then your nervous system goes. What is it about? Okay, we need good digestion to be able to absorb the food, but is there anything that we're doing amongst all this pesticide and everything that's maybe what we're contributing for the goodness not to be able to get into the cell?
Yes, there's a lot here. One thing we can do in the mornings is start cleaning. There's so many factors. I don't even know where to start. If our cells can't absorb what they're floating in, what they need, it can be because of many, many reasons. A lot of gut toxins, right? So some of I could pull pictures up. I don't know if you want to see them, but we can throw these up for your clients because they may never have seen things like this before. But this is gut toxins, right? So this is dry blood cell analysis. So those are gut toxins, right? And these are in people's butt. Here's an exciting long worm.
It's just mold.
Oh, that's mold. Sorry, the mold is the worm is the next one. That's all mold. And that's from one drop of blood. You can see all the mold in people's body. When people are exposed to mold, and look at this baby, right? You'll see it. Oh, there we go. That's a worm, that long white thing.
Oh,
so
wow.
You can see so much. Find someone by you that can do live blood cell analysis. We don't diagnose with that. We know what it is because that's in our practitioner, and we know what mold looks like under a microscope. But it is interesting to at least see what might be going on in the bloodstream, and then work with your doctor with the blood work, wherever you are with your health. But those things cause a lot of issues. So mold is a very rampant issue right now. Lyme is a very, very big thing right now, because mothers can pass Lyme down. So when they feel like no matter what they do, they just can't get well, it could be Lyme, it could be mold. Even if you've never been bit by a tick. We had a 3-year-old in the other day, and she had been to all these different doctors. No one can figure out what it is. And a medical doctor sent her to us. We have medical doctors that do send people here because we look at things a little differently, right? And so she came in, and I ran my scans on her, and we did live blood cell analysis, and there was Lyme. What we looked at now, again, we can't diagnose because I'm not a medical doctor, I'm a holistic practitioner, but now they have an idea of what they can do and what they can look at. There's all sorts of Lyme tests they can do. And we have another Lyme test here that they took, and it showed that she did have Lyme as well. But those are things that at least you get an understanding of it. If you're exposed to mold, oh my gosh, mold in the body can just wipe you out. Like no matter what, you can't get out of brain fog. No matter what, you can't have any energy. So look in your environment and see if you've been exposed to any molds, or in the past you've been exposed to mold. I do a lot on mold. We are coming out with these crash courses from holistic health educators. We're having a crash course on mold, and one on cancer, one on gut detox, one on PCOS, because that's everywhere. And so we're going to be coming out with these series of different crash courses. And when they're open, we'll go ahead and send you a link, and you can put them out there if you're interested, because a lot of people don't understand mold. And the thing is, we're going to put these courses out, and we're not selling anything. I'm not going to ever stand in front of you and go, okay, you've got mold, here's what you need to buy. That's not ethical. Like so I get a little bit woohoo when I see everything online. I'll mention products when it's helped some of my clients or something, but when we do our courses, it's not to sell any product. It's for you to get educated on how your body's working and what is this, so that you can do your own detective work, and you can make some of those decisions. If people want recommendations, we'll give them. But I just wanted you to be aware that we are going to have those courses coming out, because mold is pretty intensive. We do several hours of discussion on mold, and and how to remediate it, how to avoid it, understanding when it blooms. But like a lot of times people wake up between 3 and 4. That's usually because you have mold in the home, right? So there's different times that the bodies can wake up, and it shows you some different things that are going on with the body. So there's a lot there, but in general, yes, people do feel really sluggish because they've got this weird stuff in their bodies. I should tell you something cool, because we have a lot of antiparasiticals right now, and I'm all for them, by the way. Get on antiparasiticals, please. I've been doing this for decades, and I used to have people get rid of Candida first, like get rid of the Candida. Here's Candex, here's whatever you can do, but let's get rid of the Candida because it is bogging you down. Until I started doing live blood cell analysis, this is crazy. So you can see the white blood cells in a drop of blood, and they'll start going towards the Candida, except if there's a parasite somewhere, they ignore the Candida and they all go to the parasite. And I'll never forget the first time I noticed that there were like all these little white blood cells came out, and I'm like, oh, they're going to get the Candida that's right over here. And they come marching up and they walk right by the Candida and they change course. And we're scrolling on the piece of glass, and all of a sudden there's this parasite and they all attack the parasite. I was like, now wait a minute, your white blood cells are going to kill the parasite before the Candida. So you need to kill the parasite before the Candida, Now, luckily, there are certain herbs that kill both. But it was really fascinating what you can see, going on in your one drop of blood, and it's just kind of cool. It's just neat to get testing done and kind of see what you can put together, all on your own. Anyhow. So.
No, that's very interesting. And it's great that someone can take this course and educate themselves at home and then find the help. So it's about being that self-advocate as well, isn't it? And you do that through education. Everyone sort of homes in, especially during menopause, perimenopause, post, whatever, on hormones, that most of your problems are related to hormones. But how much is that actually driven first initially by the gut?
Like one of my clients today, just like so many of the hormones were off, right? It was just in her blood work, from the doctor, as well as the stuff we were testing. And I'm like, nope, I never start with hormones, ever. I start with the nervous system, because the nervous system controls the endocrine system, which makes the hormones. You always go upstream, right? And so if someone's having really severe hormonal issues, okay, then maybe we'll recommend if they're low in DHEA, because that's needed for every hormone to function. So then maybe we need to get on a DHEA. Maca is great for like every hormone. It's wonderful. So you add it to your smoothie. But like there's a couple things we'll do, but I would much rather look upstream and find out, okay, this is the neurotransmitter that's needed to trigger this endocrine gland. So you're just talking to someone who would much rather treat the nervous system, because I firmly believe and know the nervous system controls everything. The chiropractor and the acupuncturist are the two people you all need to see every single month until you die. And you'll live a lot longer if you do. I really believe that with all of my heart, with what I know about the nervous system. And you just think about it. You've got this brain that's like, 3 to 6 pounds sitting on a 2-ounce atlas. You have 31 sets of nerves coming down the spinal column and then going out to all these organs, glands, and tissues, giving information, right? And we won't get into the whole nervous system, but just for simplicity's sake here, if you have a subluxation in your spine, choop, 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 then that nerve is being cut off. And today, one of my scans that I did, I was like, hey, it was like, was it T9 or T6? It was off. And I was like, well, they're having really bad issues with their bowels, right? And with whatever it was. And it was directly that. Like, you can just look it up and it's right there on my chart. And you can find the charts online. So I'm like, this has probably been the issue you've had. And the other lady who had the breast removed, when we did hers, it was literally the nerves that fed communication to the breasts were both critical. Went to the chiropractor. He adjusted her first time she's ever been to a chiropractor. Now she goes every week until she only has to go once a month. It's just amazing. That nervous system controls everything in our body. And so if we don't maintain a healthy nervous system, how can we expect to have a healthy life? And the nervous system needs healthy oils, not seed oils. I couldn't be more happier to have someone like RFK Jr. at least tooting the horn in there. I know he's a solo guy over there. He's probably the only person I respect in the government right now. But anyhow, or most of us, but like, wow, I'm so grateful that he's out there going, stop eating seed oils, right? Get away from all.
We actually hear that over here too. Yeah.
He's a hero, you know,
Yeah.
he's a great guy. And so, but getting those healthy oils in your body changes your nervous system. Think about it. Oh my gosh. Demonstration. I have a pen. This is the myelin sheath. So this is the myelin sheath that runs through your body, and that little black ink is the nerve. Guess what? This myelin sheath is made of oil. All the fats you eat make your myelin sheath. Here's the kicker, everyone. Guess what destroys myelin sheath instantly? Sugar. Sugar eats it. So sugar will eat and put holes in your myelin sheath, and then you don't have healthy oil in the first place. And so now the nervous system literally gets frayed. It's kind of like when you have free electricity in your home and you're like, it's called harmonics or transient electricity. And there's transient electricity all, you can feel all charged up, right? It's the same thing in your body because you've got these nerves running through the whole body. And oil, and we don't have healthy oil, or you're giving your kids French fried everything and fried this and chicken crap fried from some fast food because you're too busy to cook, right? It's just you just gotta like taking some ownership here. You gotta take some ownership. If it's not in the house, they're not gonna eat it. If it's not in the house, you're not gonna eat it. And if you have healthy food in your car, you're not gonna stop and go through some toxic cancer dump, you know, which they call fast food. So you just gotta be aware of what's going in. You know, I'm a little type A, so I'm a little put it to you strong, but it's just a fact is a fact, you know, and how the body works is I've actually written this is the fourth edition of How the Body Works by Karen, right? By ZuZu. So this is all graphs and charts and everything about how cells function and how to change the cell environment. The fourth edition is finally done, so it'll be available in the next month or two on Audible and on Kindle and in print. But I love the body. I love how cells function. And when we, you know, there's that if people are, you know, into religion and they're taught, you know, when you know something, you won't be in so much fear. Like when you understand things, you won't be in fear. I don't associate with religion. I definitely associate with God. Religions don't do it for me anymore. There's too much, I'm right, you're wrong. And I don't like that at all. Too much judgment. And how do you feel love from someone who's judging you? Oh, you don't. Anyhow, so we just gotta get over ourselves and love everybody, right? Wherever we're at. But it's so true. Like with the body, when you understand how the body works, it takes the fear out of it. It takes the fear away. Wouldn't that be great for everyone to feel so empowered with how a cell functions that they look at food completely different? Like I know when I drink my water, what it's going to do. I know what the bath is going to be for my cell compared to if I drink some crappy smoothie with a bunch of additives and junk in it, or coffee that's full of acid. If you're going to drink coffee, please get acid-free coffee. But and don't go to Starbucks. All the places you guys go, check, just make sure you're eating. And there are some lines like Starbucks and different lines that are starting to offer some better things. So look for that. But you got to be careful, you guys. It's just what you're drinking every day is literally creating the fluid that your cells are floating in. So if you can make one change today, look at what you're drinking and go, this is the water my cells are going to float in. What am I drinking? What am I doing? And if it's constantly sugar and acid drinks and on and on and on and on, you gotta revisit Mother Nature, and you gotta revisit what you're putting in the body. So if we can just change back to water for the primary source of drinking, if you like fizzy things, then get a Fizz-It. That's what it's called. And you can carbonate your water and add some lime to it and be happy. Like, I don't care. But really go back to the basics of plants and water and just watch what happens. I get to see it all the time. So I can happily tell you it's amazing what happens.
You can't expect miracle cures or a supplement to do something if you're not prepared to make better choices. And we have to come to that point to make the choice, to look at that can of, we call it soft drink, you call it pop or soda or something.
Yeah, whatever sodas, yeah.
And think, what's in this? I mean, I always look at something and think, if I can't pronounce the ingredients, I don't take it. It goes back on the shelf. So with all your work and the clients that you see, when healing starts, what do you usually see that changes first? Well,
before healing can start, the mind has to change. The mind must believe there's a better tomorrow. Right? We must get hope You will never get hope scrolling through your phone. You'll never find it. But you might find it if you got really great friends. But man, stay away from social media if you're looking for hope. They're not programming you to have hope, honey. They're not, they haven't spent all this money and all these decades working on to program you to give you hope. That's not how they're doing it. That's why you feel the way you feel. And so the mind must change. And so that when you have that, when you wake up, you're like, that's it. I'm going to have a better day today. We stop scrolling and we start living, right? You start finding and seeking the better people in your life. When I was writing the book the first time in 2014, well, 2012, 2011. Oh my gosh, I'm so old. But anyhow, when I was writing it, I was in like downward dog doing some yoga pose. And all of a sudden I heard clear as day, that cancer is not just inside of you, it's sitting next to you. Oh, I wrote that right down.
Wow.
Because I was writing my electrical section of the book, and I had just written the cancer section. And it's so true because everyone gives off frequencies. Now, I know if I see you, Rita, I'm going to squeeze you and love you because you're just my person. Like we are vibrating in the same world. We have a lot of love and respect for each other. This is fun. I was on a podcast recently with some guy in Europe. Oh, good gracious me. No. That frequency and me, we were not anywhere near each other, right? Very, very antagonistic, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. I held my high. I think I did great. But, people vibrate differently. Yeah. And if you want to be better, you need to look for someone better than you to raise you up. You want to start following that person online or making a friend of yours that is going to lift you up and not tear you down or be the same. Like if you feel really comfortable with them, don't hang out with them. Because if you're already miserable, you're going to stay on that miserable plane. So for me, mindset is the number one thing to change. And then as you start making all these changes, you're going to feel it. You're going to be happier. You're going to be touching the earth more, and you're going to be grounding, which you're releasing all these all these positive ions. You're gaining all these negative ions, which is a good thing. So like your body starts to change, your mind starts to change, your nervous system relaxes. You're making love, and it's beautiful. For all the men out there who have ED. Oh my gosh, there are so many natural cures right in front of you. Like that will start coming back to life again. Like, so you can make love until you're 120. You can live that long and you can make love that long. Just use apple cider vinegar more often. But like, there's so many things that we can do that we'll feel differently on in 5 days and in a week and in 2 months. You're going to look back and go, wow, how did I ever get stuck there? And I want you all to know, I'm not immune to this. Like I have an enormous staff. I have an enormous responsibility. I put everything I owned into this wellness center, the property, and to holistic health educators, right? Millions of dollars. It's all invested. There are days that I'm like, oh, like that happens. It happens to all of us, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so, but it has to change here. I can't go into fear and doubt and blah. No way. That if I was in fear and doubt, I wouldn't be buying the building down the road and renovating it here in downtown Hawkinsville. Like we need to always look forward. We can't. If you look back and you turn to salt, that's not on my watch, right? You can choose to always look back and regret and regret and regret and regret. Or you can look forward with hope and excitement, and you have better people in front of you. So find those people that are going to lift you up. And if they're going to bring you down, you're going to have to, I teach something called invite, delete. In your phone, if it's someone that you've been hanging out with and they're pretty negative too, invite them to do something different that will uplift you both. If they're like, nah, okay, invite them again. Hey, I found the soap making class. You want to go learn how to make soap? Delete. like you don't need a third time, honey. I mean, maybe try 3 and then delete. I don't care. But like, if you can't find the people that are going to raise you up, then you're going to be where you're at for a long time because it's very hard to do it on your own. We're a community-driven people. We're electrically connected through electrons to every person you ever see. It's called entanglement, and it's 100% real. It's quantum physics. I love quantum physics. And so we are entangled with everyone. If you have cancer, look who you're hanging out with. Look who you're living with. Look who you go to school with. Look who you work with. What is their frequency? You want to get rid of cancer? Change your diet. Have to do that. Get rid of the bad frequencies. Get Wi-Fi out of your environment, period. And then start changing the people you hang out with. And you're going to feel it. Like you're going to feel it. So that's probably the easiest thing I could mention is mindset, and then raise yourself up.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. It affects, I mean, our cells are listening, aren't they? So, you
Yeah.
know, if you're going to say something positive. Zuzu, what a great episode this has been. I love your energy. I love your information. I think our audience is going to take away so many golden nuggets out of this and start actually connecting the dots. That's what I think is missing so much in information is, okay, you give that point or you say something, but how does that connect back to me, what I'm feeling, what I'm worried about at 2 a.m. in the morning, or how does that connect to what I'm experiencing? So you've done a lot of that in this episode, so thank you so much. And for everybody listening or watching, all of Zuzu's details will be in the show notes, all her links, how to contact her, and for the information that she has, her courses. Go there and, you know, reach out. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I loved it. Thank you so much. You're just an incredible interviewer and just a wonderful lady. You're just a beautiful human.
Thank you so much.